This place has softened my heart and brought me to my knees. And that's the beauty of the King's College for me. We're allowed to confront our brokenness, and from it, we're emboldened to stare it straight in the face, to fight the good fight, and to come out on the other side realizing that, yes, we are all different, but there's so much more that we are alike than we could have ever imagined. That perspective has given me new eyes to see the school and a new heart with which to love this school too. I'm dedicated to this community, and I am so thankful that I get the chance to run for student body president. It's amazing for me to think back where I was standing 2.5 years ago compared to where I'm standing here today. Stuart and I, on the first day of our freshman year, we ate lunch together on our very first day. And now we're here before you with love and gratitude and respect for this community that's unwavering. But we do have very different ideas as to where we should go next. I'm excited today to get the chance to share my vision, some of my ideas, to share with you why it's crucial that we inform students about the work that the cabinet is doing.
Please. Gentlemen, you will have maximum of 3 minutes to respond, so just watch. I'll flag you down when you have a minute remaining.
What have you discovered? What have you been through? What is the one thing about Kings, the one quality that you care about so much, that you love so much, that you'd be willing to sacrifice so much time and effort for?
Be the first to respond.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter. Thanks for that question and for allowing us to step away from maybe tangible ideas and just get back to the root and the essence of this place that I love so much. For me, the answer it has a lot to do with vulnerability. Vulnerability that is allowed here on this campus changed my life because I was a very closed person back at home. I was pretty private. I relied on my family a lot, but my family was here, my friends were over here, and I kept those two things pretty separate. When I came here, that line began to blend, and my friends became like my family because I knew that it was okay and for me to open up and be received in a community of love, and to that other people were doing the same thing right next to me. That's what made me feel united to my house. That's what made me feel like there was work to be done here to help other people realize possible with student boards, with all the initiatives that we have here, that you could get that sense of belonging. So for me, it's the vulnerability, and paired with that, the ability to put yourself out there, and take a risk. Failure is okay here. In student leadership and student worker positions, my time in the administration taught me that you can make mistakes and you learn more about the King's community that way than you do. And so for me, I think it would be that sort of vulnerability. That's what.
Could you restate the questions to make sure I'm answering correctly?
Yeah, sure. What is it about Kings? What quality or what is the thing about this community that makes you want to give up time, effort, like a whole work? Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that thing that I this community that makes me want to put work into it is that I believe that when people come here, they change as a person, that they grow in virtue, that the King's mission isn't an empty slogan that we throw out to recruit people, but that when people come here, they really do a community that they haven't experienced in other places, that they're challenged in ways that they haven't been challenged before, and that they're made to become a different person, to learn to contribute to things and not just consume them, to care about things and not just critique them. I think for me, when I was coming here, I knew there were things I believed in that I wanted to make a difference about. I'm like a shy, awkward person naturally, and so I knew I needed to learn to go out there, do things I'm not comfortable doing, to pursue what I believe in. And this place has pushed me more than anything else in my life to do that, to run for Chamberlain, to run for president. All these things are not things that I'm comfortable doing, but I've done them because Kings has challenged me to pursue to do what I think is right no matter what. That's what honor is about. That's what the King's mission is about. I think Kings really does train people to do that, and so I want to see people grow. I want to see people feel like they're a part of something and they're working towards what they believe in with other people. part of Kings is the camaraderie and being able to not only know what I believe in, but have others out with, and people that are pursuing to do it better, to be braver, to pursue things, and even when I'm not comfortable, I'm going to do it anyway because that's what's right, that's what's good, and find joy in that and learning to be thankful and enjoy that with your friends.
We are now going to take a question from Emma Brown, president of Tenbu.
So my question for you guys is, what is your understanding of the spheres of influence that the student body president, the cabinet, and the council have?
Yeah.
Response, sorry.
Spheres of influence that the student body president also have? Yeah, so starting with the student body president, the main ring of influence that the SBP has is with the cabinet. And I think that the most important work that the SBP does is inspiring the cabinet, leading the cabinet, helping them do their jobs well. You know, and there's a lot of speeches that the SBP gives. There's times when the whole student body sees. But the most important thing the SBP can do is to lead their team well, make sure they're doing their job in the student body, that their ideas are being carried out, and that the student body's needs in orgs or in events or various other things are being fulfilled. So that's I think the most important thing that the SBP does. That's the first ring of influence. And then there's the whole student body and the council. The council meetings, obviously. We work with people with statesmanship to work together. What the student body needs done, whether it's coordinating events or whether it's addressing bigger problems, you know, like spiritual life, dealing with things like difficult discussions. And the council, that is a group of people that are part of their houses, but they're also part of the council. It's a limited sphere of influence, you know, not that many people want to go and see what's going on in the council. It's limited, but it's important. It's allocating funds for orgs. It's deciding on recommendations to give to the school. So that's not something lots of students see, but it's important and it matters. But then the most important thing that the council does is that they serve their houses and that collaboratively to make their house members' experiences better. And so that's their sphere, their houses. And I think the most important thing that all those things do is that they work together to make the King's experience better for all students. So if you're a house president and you're doing something that's not related to your house, you still want to contribute, you still want to help because you're not here just to serve your people or to do the things that you like to do.
The sphere of influence that the student body president has is limited, and I agree with Stuart that a lot of it is directed towards the cabinet. The way that I see it is the student body president needs to be looking up to cast a vision that every single student understands and hopefully can get behind and follow. And throughout the whole year, to be the champion of that mission in various ways. The flip side of that is to be looking down at the cabinet and for the student body president to be at the constantly trying to develop the cabinet members to take their own ideas, their own projects, their own things that they think that this school needs and develop that, help them to see. My time on the cabinet this year with Kat has just been one of the most unbelievable experiences that I've ever had the chance to be a part of. And she has shown respect for the cabinet members, and she demands respect herself without even asking for it. And I think Kat has been an incredible SBP, developed this team so well, and we've been able to get a lot of things done because we have for us. And I think a student body president needs to be a champion for the cabinet, but also a champion for the student body, to be always looking ahead, upward, forward for the student body. So that's the sphere of influence with the student body president. What you cannot do is start making all of these declarations saying like they're fifth executive team position. That is something that SBP cannot do. One of the most important elements of this role is liaising with student development. The student is connected with the dean of students. That is the main point of coordination between administration and the student body. It would be my job to hear each one of your voices, to gather consensus, and then to bring that to student development to say, this is something that our students value, we've recognized a problem, this is how we think you could fix it, and we want to work with that. And bringing those things to student development is also one of the most of the SBP job. And then the council really serves to unify the school too. I think it's amazing how creative and individual and unique all 10 houses are. But to be around that table every week and to logistically, also inspirationally come together to be reminded of that vision, that's part of the sphere of influence with the council too.
Okay, Grace, do you want to come forward and ask a question from board leader perspective?
So we both have talked about wanting to foster in the student body, and I think that student orgs are a really important part of that because not only allow students to participate in things that they love doing with other King students, but also gives them the opportunity to give back to their community. And so I'm just wondering how, with that in mind, you guys are planning to proactively invest in student orgs next year.
Which one of you responded first last? Michael, it's you.
Thank you so much for that question, Grace, and thank you for highlighting the importance of student orgs. While the house system is one of the most distinct things about this community, many people find their family that way, there are a huge number of students that don't, and they find their home in a student org. So I cannot champion the work that the student org leaders do. The exec teams, all of the participants in organizations, hats off to you guys, because there is a huge sacrifice to that, very little thanks, and not as much maybe leadership development as an exec team would get. So looking forward into next year, the work that this team has done at the beginning of last year with student organizations, Christina Markakis, putting on an org leader training day. That was entirely student driven. And it was amazing, but there's more work to be done if we start sooner, if we loop more resources into it, and we really start to bring alongside student org leaders with the rest of the state. Maybe not in those forums, but start to open up some of the resources given to statesmanship members and extend those on to student org leaders too. So one of the ways that I see this happening on this sort of extension leadership resource tools are through video tutorials. Fundraising is important for student org, and if we could sit down with Chief Operating Officer Kevin, Associate Dean of Students Shelley Klein, to figure out how they and their teams work to fundraise for this school on a macro level and glean some wisdom, capture it, put it together a beautiful video, and save that for student leaders to come on exec teams. And that's one way that we can maybe invest in student orgs a little bit more. And also, my perspective with student orgs going into this is I want to create a culture where people are wanting to be curious and adventurous with what they're proposing. I think this student body has so many incredible ideas, and I want to foster a culture where even the smallest idea start to build a flame. And I just think that it's the student body president's job not to support only the student organizations that are the most popular or have the most members, but also to devote just as much care and attention to the ones that are just starting, because that has the potential to change somebody's life in this community, and it's a worthwhile endeavor. So thanks for that question.
There are a couple ways I want to help student orgs grow at King's. I want to give more money to student orgs that best represent the student body, and there are a number of orgs that can make a case for what they do to represent students. And so that would be something we talk about in the process of going through forming the budget for next year. But what I have in mind is, like I said with athletics, there are certain things that we do as a community that bind together to help us unify, to remember why we're here, to remember why we love the King's College, and to help us foster pride and thankfulness in being here. I think things like Refuge are things together that encourage people to to invest in the community together is something that you're doing something that binds you with worshiping God, and you're doing it with your friends, and that makes a difference. And so student orgs that provide experiences like that, the King's players also, seeing your friend perform in a theater, that's something really exciting that you can rally around in the school. I think those are things that we should be supporting, and so I do want to give more money to student orgs like this. Like you said, we do have to support every student org can make a student's experience at King's better. Every student org can provide something for its student body. So I'm not proposing we sacrifice anything for the other student orgs. There are student orgs that we can really rally around, that we can really encourage and get involved. And I think that, like athletics, this is something that we can use to breed school unity, to be proud of being Kingsian. Part of this, the next thing other than the budget, is getting the Statesmanship Institute behind student orgs. And so, you know, as a House President, because we have all these things that we want people to show up to, but then they're also involved in student orgs and everything else that goes on campus. People will be involved, and some people aren't able to because they're going to this basketball game or they're part of this debate society or something. And so something I want to do better is to get the Statesmanship Institute behind supporting the student orgs that their students participate in. You know, get creative about how to get your house student org so that student org can be supported and the house members at student org can be appreciated, that they belong at King's, not only in their student org, but in their house, and that they can participate in both of those things.
Okay, we have a couple Twitter questions, so we're going to ask one for each of you. So the first one goes to Stu from Onassis. Will be for Michael from Grayson. Yeah, if you guys tweet in questions, I'm going to ask you to ask your question. The one about Stuart.
So the one about exclusivity.
Yeah.
This question is for Stuart. How do you tackle inclusivity when Lewis and the status quo struggles with exclusivity under your leadership?
Well, first of all, I think Lewis, I don't think exclusivity is a big problem in Lewis. I think every house has a problem with people not feeling involved in their house. That's a problem every house has. It has people that don't feel like they're a part of the house, that struggle to get involved, that need to help them get involved. So that's not something special to Lewis. That's something every student leader deals with. Every student leader in this room knows that. Second thing is, I think exclusivity is a problem with the King's College in general. That King's is a small school, and if you fit, you really, really fit, but if you don't. And so my vision for this school is that we learn to help people belong here. That it's not a type of person, but that we rally around things like student orgs, we rally around athletics, we take pride in being a Kingsian and be thankful in being. So that even if you're not exactly the kind of person you think maybe is the best fit for your house, or that you feel included, that you're part of something, that you're participating. What we need at King's College is a greater sense of people belonging here, people feeling like when they come here that they can be proud to be here. And so I think Lewis, to include people is we started Bigs and Littles first semester. That's something we've not done in the past. We knew there's a disconnect between so we started Bigs and Littles program to help freshmen feel more included. We started fellowship groups the second semester so that guys can get together more often, share what's going on in their lives, talk about the works of C.S. Lewis. So those are practical things we've done to help people feel more included. But like I said before, participate in a lot of other things, a lot of other orgs, then they need to feel supported in doing that. And not better as houses. Help people feel supported in what they're doing outside the house. You know, let their know that they're proud of what they're doing, they want to see it, they want to appreciate it. So I think in the House of Lewis, we've worked on that a lot. We've started programs to help people feel more comfortable. It's something that every house deals with. I think greater school unity helps people feel like they belong at the King's College, feel like they're a perfect fit for their house or for their org.
Thank you, Stuart.
the increasing diversity of belief on campus, how would a fifth executive team position dedicated to spiritual life students?
Yeah, thanks, Grayson. That's a really great question. So, the fifth executive team position focused on Christian community and city engagement is something that I've been working on, asking questions, sitting down with people for about 5 months now. And the reason being is because we are a school committed to the truth of Christianity. If, we have chamberlains focused on honor, helmsmen on community, scholars on and presidents to lead the charge. If we look back to the mission statement of the college, I think it's a big weakness that we don't have spiritual life represented on. I think that there's a gap there. Now, there are a lot of implications to what a position like that, questions that are unanswered. I have, a report that I've been working on that I would love to sit down with you and we can look that over, because that is one concern as we are welcoming a wider variety of students. And it's incredible, right, that we don't have a statement of faith. That's one of my about this school, because nothing is forced. Nobody has to say that they believe in anything that they don't. I think what we find at the King's College is that this is a place where some of us can ask questions that we never even would have thought to ask before. Some of us that have grown up in the church for our entire lives are now beginning to think, well, wait a second, I've always turned away from that. Why did I turn away from that? Why am I uncomfortable with that? Resources, professors, churches across the city where we can another and ask those questions. As an exec team member focused on Christian community and city engagement would not be the pastor of the house. They would not be in charge of evangelizing to everybody that walked into the house as I see it. And there being a lot of logistic work that needs to be done in Christian community and spiritual that currently is being handled differently between each of the houses. And what that has shown me as chair of the Spiritual Life Committee this year is that it's really hard to create a common standard to set ourselves a vision and to define ourselves a win for what spiritual life each house handles it so differently. It's hard to find that unity and that coordination and to things together. So I think what the fifth Christian community exec team position could offer is not the requirement that 75% of the house is Christian and that you have like a 25% evangelism rate. Like that is not what I role at all. Rather, it's logistic work to get the house out serving, to strengthen work on the amazing work that Sadie Elliott has done this year with city engagement, not to rest on those laurels, but to keep pushing forward, to create a system where maybe every student in the house could be prayed for every single week. Somebody in that sort of position could do something like that. Some benefits from that in the community. But thank you so much for that question.
We will now take a question from Sadie Elliott about city engagement, and Michael, you will respond first.
Hi. I just want to first of all say thank you both for running. I think that you guys are both stellar candidates, and I'm excited for however this election shakes out. My question is city engagement. From my perspective, city engagement is gaining and involving, but also with students outside of the houses getting out to serve more. So my question is two-part. The first part of my question is to you, what is the purpose of city engagement? Why is it important that we have something like this? And in your vision for the school this year?
Thanks so much, Sadie. So the first part is the importance of city engagement. And I think as Christians, we are missing the point if ourselves, and service is one of the clearest ways that we can have, we can be the hands and feet, serve one another, humble ourselves in service to another. And there's so much need in this city. And for you to be spending the amount of time, the amount of hours a week that you put in, it is just one of the most incredible things. You have concretized systems, you've matured relationships, and I think we're going to see a lot of the benefit of that next August when these relationships are starting up again over the summer. It's going to be much easier for houses to get serving quicker, and these relationships have a history now, right? So the other important thing is with habits. We have to create a culture where habit, and I think one of the best examples of that this year is with like the House of Reagan, with such frequent opportunities for service, where these guys and these are going out to the same organizations. They know the staff members, and they know that they have a place now in this organization across the city that expands the King's College's mission. It is building the kingdom of God. So that's why it's important. As it relates to it's imperative. One of the biggest things that I want to pursue is research for this 5th executive team position. Obviously, I don't have the power to create that, but I want to get a consensus, recognize that there are problems here with spiritual life, and that some sort of and better coordination is in part necessary. But I think in doing there is a position and an opportunity to capitalize on that. If somebody on the exec team was in charge of city engagement, we might be able to realize the goal of having a week of service instead of a day of service much sooner and more efficient with more hands involved. Easier and more glorifying to God.
Like Michael said, I think city engagement is part of fulfilling our mission at King's. So we pursue habits that form us, that help us pursue the things we want to pursue. So we serve the city because that's what we want to do with the rest of our lives. So I think it's important for us to do these kinds of things. And I think that a few practical things that need to happen to continue it. That houses need to figure out their own systems for how they do city engagement. Right now, it's worked really hard on systematizing it, and so like Sadie and I have talked about before, I think it needs to be somebody's job in a house to do city engagement. However, I don't exec member. I don't think we should have a 5th exec member, because I think what exec teams need to do is better empower their house members to shoulder responsibility in their house. So that it's not about 4 people doing work and the rest of the people kind of enjoying it, that it's a community coming together to pursue their goals. And so I think city engagement should be something that houses make their own, that they take it into the future and make choices in who they want to serve, how they want to serve, when they want to serve, that they make it their responsibility. But that it's not just an exec member's job, that it's something that the exec team is working with the house to pursue together. I think practically in Lewis, I think that'd be an associate position. Someone whose job is to do city engagement, to plan city engagement, and get their friends involved with it, working with the exec team in doing that. So, and the point of that is, we need to be involved in the work in their houses to do more shoulder responsibility. And that's necessary because the exec team's job is important, but the point of the exec team is to help other people get involved. It's to help other people learn to serve. It's to give other people opportunities. And so I think what we need with city is for houses to systemize how they want to do it, figure out whose job it is, but I don't think it's the exec member's job. I think it can be shared amongst the exec team as the year goes on, or it can be an associate's role. I think that's the best way forward. And then another thing that's been on the table before is, should there be a city engagement cabinet member? And at first, I thought that might be a good idea, because as far as everything the cabinet member does but is not on the cabinet. But I think now, it's better for houses to be able to run with their projects and not even need a city engagement coordinator in the future, to be able to take ownership of their work and take pleasure.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that it's clear that this idea, and I truly do believe that this is what this community needs, a 5th executive team position. That's the future. City engagement is going to happen day 1 for next year. These are 2 very separate things, and we have to make sure that we're making city engagement grow and be more efficient to build on the foundation that Sadie has so brilliantly laid this year. So I don't want to that city engagement equals a new executive position. Those are 2 different questions. I think what we're doing now on the Spiritual Life Committee is that some of the associates are in charge of city engagement. In other houses, it's the Chamberlains. In others, it's somebody else. There are 2. And one of the most valuable things in my experience on exec team for the House of Bonhoeffer was meeting with all 10 of them to say, you know what, I am in this role, and I know that you are too. We're being held to we have the same job description, and you know, it's so hard, and you get it. That's what we're missing with city engagement, because we can't collaborate. There's no structure for owned city engagement. It's 10 different people across 10 different houses, and it's one another and understand what sort of